Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about Syracuse for next season. Syracuse win total. If you didn't know and you check the sports books, right now they have Syracuse at 6.5 wins in the regular season, plus or minus. If you think they're going over, it looks like really good money. If you think they're going under, it's a value bet. Let's go talk about who Syracuse is and what I think of them, okay? So Syracuse, looking at last year, they beat the brakes off of Colgate to start the season 65-0. Everybody anointed them at that point. Then they beat Western Michigan, went on the road, beat Purdue, and then they beat Army. I told the world at this point, I don't believe in Syracuse. They're undefeated, and they're about to play Clemson, and I don't believe Syracuse is any good. Everybody attacked me. Guess what? I was tremendously right. And for the next couple of weeks, Syracuse did exactly what I expected of them. They got blown the hell out for 3 straight weeks, go to Virginia Tech, get beat their face in, then go to Boston College, and they can't do a damn thing. Now, towards the end of the season, don't believe any of this stuff. Syracuse was terrible, absolutely gross, had no offense, could not throw the ball. A bigger problem with Syracuse was dual threat quarterbacks. If you had a dual threat quarterback, you could get around the edge. You could extend plays. They couldn't stop you. You were too fast. There's nothing Syracuse could do. To the point where they fired Dino Babers. They got into the bowl game, and we knew South Florida was going to beat them. I already knew it. Byron Brown is a dual-threat quarterback. He's going to beat them to the edge. I learned this when I watched him against Boston College. I learned this when I watched him against Kyron Drones, Jordan Travis, even any quarterback that can run. Drake May. Any quarterback that can run just a little bit gave them fits. There's nothing they can do about it. And then Pitt, they beat Pitt, but don't get it twisted. Pitt changed quarterbacks after this game. Go ahead and bench that Jerkovich dude, move him to tight end, things like that. So I've studied this team profusely. I know Syracuse team, and it's terrible, and they fired their coach. And now they hired Fran Brown. And everybody knows they hired a defensive backs coach from Georgia, and they got to flip that roster. They remind me a lot of Colorado last year. They really do. They remind me of Colorado so much that they're using the transfer portal to identify what they need to fix, and they're trying to replace their players. But there's not enough players in the transfer portal to change the lack of depth and ability on your team, at least in my assessment. So let's go look at what they did stats-wise and who they have returning and things of this nature. So Schrader graduated. He's gone. They bring in Kyle McCord in the transfer portal. Probably need Kyle McCord because I can tell you right now, Carlos Del Rio Wilson, CWRW, not him. I watched this kid play in high school. He played at multiple high schools. He was transferring around everywhere, trying to be the next great quarterback. This was Jake Garcia time frame. All these guys going to different high schools. Eventually, he goes to Florida. Can't win the job at Florida. Leaves, and now he's up here. And that's right. He tried to beat on Anthony Richardson. What? Are you not paying attention to depth charts? Why did you go to Florida? That doesn't make any sense. So now you end up at Syracuse. He still can't start at Syracuse. He was actually third string, because Justin Lamson beat him out, and Justin went to Stanford. Justin Lamson is better than him. At least that's how it worked out in spring football. And he went to Stanford, and he's the backup at Stanford now. So we already know Carlos Del Rio Wilson is terrible. Dan Villari, former tight end or former quarterback turned tight end for Syracuse. He used to play quarterback at Michigan. Okay, so he transferred in from Michigan as a quarterback. They transitioned him to tight end. Not good. Even worse. He played quarterback those last couple games last year. Very bad. Braden Davis, a transfer from South Carolina. He played high school ball in Delaware. I told you guys this kid will never start a game for Syracuse. So far, I've been right. He should never start a game, should never be playing in games. He's not very good. I think he should be playing for Delaware. That's what I said. I'm sticking to it, and I've been right ever since. Hate to wish it upon a kid. Hate to be that right. Not really. I like my assessment. I like when I'm right and nobody's listening to me. I have videos on this on TikTok. I call this one of the worst transfers I've ever seen. You can't start at South Carolina. You can't even see the field at South Carolina. Shout out to Lenora Sellers. You think you're going to go to Syracuse and play? No, you're not. They didn't have any tight end. They'd rather start that tight end. They didn't have any quarterbacks. They started Villari over him. Terrible. And moved Braden Davis to wide receiver. This kid was catching passes. Where's he at? Braden Davis caught 2 passes, bro. They moved this guy to tight end. Not it. They don't know what they're doing. Then you have Luke McPhail. I think he's a pretty damn good quarterback. Luke McPhail, his high school tape is elite to me. He just transferred to Utah Tech, though. And I think he's going to play at Utah Tech, and I think he's going to throw for 3,000 yards. I think he's a really good quarterback, and it's a shame he never got a chance last year. They didn't even think about playing him. They played all these other guys and not him. But after watching the tape, I'm like, man, this kid's special. And then, obviously, LaQuint Allen. So, LaQuint Allen, being their star running back, I think he's a stud. I think he's a future NFL running back. I think he's quality, 1,000-yard rusher in a terrible season with the boxes loaded because nobody thinks you're going to pass it. Garrett Schrader, second leading rusher on the team, not good. Not good. When Garrett Schrader's your second leading rusher and Valari's your third leading rusher. You're tight end. You're running a lot of Wildcat. Where's your second running back? Jawan Price is young. He'll be back. Jawan Price, I say he's young. He's been around for a while. Young, he's a junior, I think, last year. But Jawan Price is a transfer from New Mexico State. And when he was at New Mexico State, he rushed for 500-600 yards, somewhere around there. So he's actually pretty decent, but never quite getting over the hump. And I think they're going to look to upgrade at the position group. They just don't have anybody. There's nobody in the transfer portal better. You're just kind of stuck with what you have. And this is the reality of where you're at right now. You got to turn over the roster. You don't have the talent you're looking for. I would compare this talent on this team to Indiana like 2 years ago. Indiana, just not very good. Some players can play. Damian Alford, not bad. Decent wide receiver. Amari Hatcher. These are all decent guys. The guy they're hoping for is Aronde Gadsden here. You guys see Aronde Gadsden. This guy's enormous, and I think he's a really good player. He'll be coming back. He was injured all year. But, man, Syracuse wide receivers, not it, man. Maximilian Mang was on my all-name team, by the way. I just don't believe in a lot of their skill players outside of LaQuint Allen. That's the only guy they're giving the ball to. It's the only guy they trust with the ball. You can't get it to anybody else. Is Kyle McCord going to spread it around? Are they going to come with a new offensive scheme and do all the different things they did where were they? I think the offensive coordinator is coming over from Baylor. So, okay, if you believe it, I'm not with it. You believe it, I'm not with it. Let's talk about their defense. Everybody's coming back. Essentially, everybody's coming back. They've been addressing the defense in the transfer portal because they know they need to change the team speed. There's not enough speed on the edge. There's not enough speed at linebacker positions. It's glaring on tape. I think the cupboard is really bare at Syracuse talent-wise. I think the team isn't that talented. And I hate to say that about some kids that I've been watching for a while, but it's the truth. Somebody's going to have to lose games in the ACC. That's all I can say. So, with that being said, let's go look at the transfer portal. Isaiah Hastings, they picked him up. A big body kid from Alabama, 6'4", 290. Isaiah Hastings can't play football. I've already assessed the tape. I've already assessed his talent. I don't think he's very good at all. He was initially transferring to Missouri. He was leaving Alabama, going to Missouri, and I told everybody, it's a bottom 10 transfer to Missouri. I don't think he can play at Missouri. Now he's going to Syracuse. I'm sure they'll shove him in the rotation. He's a big body kid, but I don't think he's very good, personally. Don't think he's very good. Getting a kid coming up from Hampton, I believe, or Howard, I'm sorry. Howard Witherspoon here, offensive tackle. Deion Wilson I actually like. It says he's from New Mexico State. He's actually from Arizona Wildcats. He went to New Mexico State. He didn't play at New Mexico State. I don't know what that was about. I don't know what's going on, but good player. Darren Chestnut made a mistake, jumped in the portal. He's from Camden, New Jersey. Jumped in the portal last year, and he took off. Who's the other kid who went to Ohio State? But Darren Chestnut went to LSU, and he goes by Deuce. Deuce Chestnut could not break the starting lineup. He quit the team early, wasn't in the rotation. I just wasted a year of eligibility going to LSU. I don't know what that's about. These kids will chase a bag and go anywhere and not realize they're not a good fit. They don't belong there. This is a good player, though. He's a good player. Joshua Miller, just a bench warmer at Georgia. And I know they got a lot of Georgia bench warmers. Guys, you don't want guys who can't start at a school. You just don't. You want to find legitimate starters coming in or contributors, people in the two deep, things like that. And I get it. You got a pipeline because Coach Fran Brown is coming from Georgia. And you're like, no, we got all these Georgia 5-stars, Rico. We got them. No, you got the recruiting misses. That's what you got. If they were 5-stars, they wouldn't have left Georgia. You got recruiting misses. Slow down. Fadil Diggs can play football. Good in the SEC, 3.5 sacks. Not great. Good, better than what you have. Upgrade for sure. Devin Grant, best transfer they signed. Devin Grant is a NFL player to me. Devin Grant is the best kid I saw in the MAC last year at safety. I told you guys every week for Buffalo. I love Devin Grant as a 6'3", 200-pound safety. He had 6 interceptions last year, 5 or 6 interceptions last year, 2 to the house. That guy, Devin Grant, I don't understand the rankings. I don't know what you got to do to get more than 3 stars, but he did it already. He's done everything. He's better than you think. He's better than anybody. I love Devin Grant as a safety. Shout out to Syracuse for getting a complete stud. You got James Hurd here, went to West Virginia last year, did not play for West Virginia, sat the bench. Anytime you see a Jersey transfer, it's going to be very normal. Syracuse is going to dominate in the Jersey area and the New York area when it comes to recruiting. It's just their coaching staff, their pipeline. This is what they're going to do. So you start seeing kids come home to Jersey. Congratulations, Kyle McCord coming home, knows the whole coaching staff. And then you got 2 more Georgia transfers. I'll say this. They need to keep winning in the transfer portal, and they need to keep doing it in the spring. If they do another 10 transfers in the spring, I will remake this video. I will. But who did they lose? So they lost role players everywhere, young talent in Stephen Thompson. Miles Farmer going to App State. This is the former leading tackler at Nebraska 2 years ago. Miles Farmer was a late transfer coming in, didn't really get in the rotation all that much. This is a kid who got a DUI in November after the football season. I like Miles Farmer as a player. He's out of Westlake. Making mistakes, getting DUIs, I can't condone it. I can't support it. And I hope he gets a better opportunity at App State and makes the most of it. And we'll just keep it at that. Rest of these guys are role players. Don't really matter that they lost them all that much. I already told you I like Luke McPhail, but he wasn't in the rotation. Let's see. Nobody else really sticks out to me, especially on tape or anything like that. I don't think it's going to really hurt them all that much that they lost all these players. They just need to find replacements. When you look at their depth chart, some things to talk about. I think the receiver core is very substandard. I think returning some of these guys doesn't really matter. They're not great. They did not update this chart with transfers and some other things. Looking at the offensive line, it is Senior Ladin. Let's see if they can get it together. They weren't good last year. Del Rio Wilson will not be starting quarterback. Obviously, Kyle McCord's there. Good running back. Not worried about the rest. Defense doesn't surprise me. Doesn't look great. There's going to be some studs. Hey, there's Jaden Bellamy. Jaden Bellamy and Jaden Gold. High school teammates, both coming over from Bergen Catholic. One of them, I believe Bellamy was at Notre Dame for 1 year. Gold went to Nebraska. So they each went to a school for 1 year, redshirted, jumped back in the portal last year, and came back and played for Dino Babers. So these are high school buddies, teammates, whatever, and they're going to try to get in the starting lineup and start making a difference. Coach doesn't care. We're going to go get Devin Grant. We're going to go get better players out there. But I like these young, talented players from a perennial power like Bergen Catholic, from the Jersey area. That kind of stuff is pretty cool. So shout out to them. I'm excited for them. But at the end of the day, I don't think Syracuse is all that great talent-wise. So when I go look at their 2024 schedule, they're going to beat Ohio first game of the season. I have them losing to Georgia Tech. I just don't think they match up well. Haynes King is a dual-threat quarterback. They got too much speed on the edge. They have real players at Georgia Tech. I look for Georgia Tech to win this game in the Dome. Then they're going to play Stanford. I think it's a coin toss. But they can probably win this game. So 1, 2, 3. I don't see them going on the road and beating UNLV. UNLV, Matthew Sluka, Ricky White. Just UNLV's a problem, guys. UNLV is going to score a lot of points, and I like UNLV in that matchup. Still, I've got them at 1, 2, 3 wins. If you want to give them 4, go for it. I don't see them being NC State at all. I think they can't beat Pitt. I don't think they can beat Pitt. Pitt has a new offensive coordinator, good skill players coming in from Western Carolina. I really like what Pitt's doing. They're not beating Virginia Tech. They're not beating Cal. They're not beating Miami. So you can think they're beating UConn. I like that. Coin flip of Boston College. But they're going to beat UConn. They're going to beat Holy Cross, Stanford, and Ohio. That's 4. Do you have them beating UNLV? That's 5. You got them beating Pitt? That's 6. And the reason I bring that up is the book's 6.5. They're going to have to beat somebody else to get to 7. And I don't see it, man. Personally, I don't see it. I think Syracuse is under 6.5. It's plus 112. I think that's very good money. I would probably go 2 units on it. So when I pull up the chart, if you go here, I have it as a lock The under for Syracuse, a lock, 2 units. And that's because I really believe in UNLV this year. I really believe in Cal. I believe in Cal being a lot better than the ACC is prepared for. Watch. And then I believe in Virginia Tech being better than them. Boston College is a coin flip. It's going to be close, but we'll see what Bill O'Brien can do. I just don't like Syracuse's chances of getting 7 wins. That's where I'm at on this. If you don't like it, stay away from it. Obviously, I've done a rundown of every single team. I hope you guys pick and choose the right ones. Some of you might tail everything. We're going to check what our record is at the end of the season, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hitting somewhere around 60%. Pick the right ones. I don't know what my locks are going to be, but I'm hoping they're over 70. So be careful. This one's a lock for me, 2 units plus 112. Good luck. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows.